Well, it might be a children's tall tale and it might not. But all we gotta say is Pancho ain't telling nobody. Pancho must know about everything there is. Pancho's seen it all. There's not much Pancho has missed because he's got a spaceship that goes throughout the entire universe. So what would you do with such a spaceship? What would a horse do? Oh, I'm sure a horse would have a dandy time with the spaceship, and of course, most any feline creature would have a delight, but Pancho was not your average cat. No, Pancho was his own man, so you say, and the things Pancho went to visit is mighty grand. And that's what we's going to tell you about in these Tales of Pancho's Diary. We presented all this background information just for the authenticity of Pancho's Diary, because it's not our intent to waste anyone's time with tall tales. Pancho's Diary, most of it's true, and all of it probably ought to be, or could be. As far as Pancho says, it was. And we ain't here to argue with Pancho. We just here to try to see what old Pancho been up to this time around. And now we get to the heart of the matter. You see, Pancho was leaving a trail for his friends to follow. All you had to do was know how to read the diary. And all you had to do to know how to read the diary was think like Pancho. That's all you had to do. So anybody that deciphered his diary and happened to figure out how to get just where he's going in their own little spaceship that's waiting for them, if they can just follow the clues that Pancho gave them. And he'd have more than one pal to traverse the universe with. And so how many pals you reckon done figured it out? Well, I'll give you a little clue. There's a little more than one or two. And Pancho would say, that's enough information. They're intelligent. They can figure it out themselves. Don't matter how many's figured it out. There's all pals and thinking alike, and there's good pals and buds. What could go wrong? The more the merrier. And they all had fun. And the things they would do is sometimes they would go on joint ventures. For example, Lefty had a spaceship. Lefty was one of them cats that figured it out. There was more than one or two, but we ain't gonna name no names unless we have to. But we do have to name old Lefty, because Lefty messed around, got in one of his little spaceships, and come back, and he had all the luck. Lefty done got home with all the luck. And that's another story all in itself. There's critters like that that's had all kinds of adventures with Pancho. We's mostly just talking about Pancho's diary. We're at the mercy of what Pancho left behind. Now, what makes you think that there really is such a thing as a Pancho's diary? Well, I have the diary. As you can see, it is at the London Museum. That was donated in one of my discoveries. I consider it my prime discovery. So, I'm not sure of the manner of your question. Oh, we're not doubting that you have Pancho's diary. We're simply questioning the authenticity of it, perhaps. Question the authenticity of Pancho's diary? Who would copy this? No, that's not what we meant. What we meant was, I don't know, forget it. The Pancho's diary is there for the public. No one can hinder anyone from viewing. It's in public view. Anyone can read the tales of Pancho, if they can decipher the cat language. If as Pancho wrote this in his own language, he invented the language because he knew everything. And so he invented a language, recorded it in his diary in some manner that works better perhaps in other dimensions than here, but it's certainly sound, it's recorded, and it can be deciphered. All you gotta do is think like Pancho. And that's the name of that tune. And Pancho is not hiding his diary, but he's not shouting on the mountaintop none of the events neither. Pancho is enjoying his spaceship ride. And he has even offered this wondrous opportunity to any of his pals, or anybody that could figure out what he's saying. Good thing Pancho was a good-natured cat. Having access to that spaceship, well, that's some pretty powerful information. And Pancho wasn't no dumb cat. He did get a lot of information. And sometimes Pancho might have made a mistake or two, and there's part of the tales as well. But he sure enjoyed the spaceship ride. Most of the time, Pancho read the instructions and had no troubles with his journeys. But like anything, especially with a feline curiosity, there were some interesting moments, and always are, along the way. It's not on display in the museum, but the diary matches up to, there's an actual spaceship, and we know where it is, and some humans have actually used it, but we can't talk about that anymore. And so, word of Pancho's spaceship